Somewhere Better by I_am_Ellie on AO3. Episode 41. Chapter 3. I Did It For Me. Nemuri had been sitting in the living room with Izuku while they talked. When they walked in, both Izuku and Nemuri had been on the couch. Nemuri with her feet on the coffee table, and Izuku with his feet outstretched before him on the couch. Both of them reading magazines. Well, Nemuri reading, Izuku more staring at the pictures. Trouble in Paradise? Nemuri asked, not looking up from her magazine. Shut up, Shouta grumbled. Rude, Izuku piped up, also not looking from his magazine. So, I was thinking, Nemuri said, in her, I have a plan that everyone else in this room does not know about. Just go along with me voice. Maybe after dinner, we should all go to the park. The one nearest Izuku's school. Who knows? Maybe one of his kidly friends will even be there. Izuku looked up from his magazine, eyes wide, and turned to Shouta with a pleading expression. You know, since he was so good at therapy and all. Shouta looked at the wall. It was a bit late in the evening, and he was tired, but Izuku was excited, and that hadn't been something that had happened much in the last few weeks. All right, Shouta said. Izuku cheered. Shouta winced. Hizashi grinned, and Nemuri just looked smug. Hizashi went into the kitchen, packing some sandwiches, sliced fruit and vegetables into a paper bag so they could eat at the park. Shouta took Tylenol and filled the flask with juice and water. Nemuri entertained Izuku, showing him pictures of her magazine. See, and that one's the actor who played in that really old superhero show. How old? Izuku asked. Probably over 100 years old at this point, Nemuri noted. This was before quirks were around, Tiger. The hero movies weren't all that accurate. That makes sense, Izuku easily accepted, and they started talking about the next page. They left the apartment for the park 30 minutes later, all of them piling into a car, Hizashi and Nemuri fighting over who would ride shotgun and who would be stuck in the back seat. It came as a surprise to no one but Hizashi when Nemuri won. Everything here? Shouta asked before they departed. Yes, Izuku said. Food? Yes, Nemuri answered. Drinks? Yes. Hizashi, are you wearing your hearing aids? Yep. Hizashi piped up from the back seat. They drove to the park, Nemuri lazily flipping off any driver that mildly inconvenienced her, and Shouta thanking every deity he knew that Izuku was staring out the window, paying little attention to Nemuri, and unlikely to ask about that little bit of sign language. The park was fairly uncrowded because of the late hour. The sun was lowered in the sky, casting little scattered shadows through the leaves of the tree, and Nemuri, Shouta, and Hizashi sat down under one of those shaded areas. Izuku started bouncing excitedly as soon as he got a look at the park, hurrying to put his snacks of food and drink down so he could run onto the park, skimmering. There were two other children, a boy with shaggy blonde hair and a girl with pink dreadlocks, and they all looked remarkably familiar. Oh no, Shouta thought. Denki! May! Izuku shouted. The two other children looked up from where they sat, peering a pile of bits of metal, screws, and tools. Zuku! They shouted at once. May jumped up, practically tackling him into a hug, and Denki clasped him on the shoulder. You left early, May accused. Again! Why do you always leave, Zuku? I had to go to the doctor's office. Izuku defended himself, releasing himself from May's death grip, and sitting down cross-legged on the grass. What are you doing here? Denki is helping me power one of my projects. This one needs batteries, May exclaimed. It's an automatic potato gun, like a potato machine gun, but instead of a little hammer and all the powdery and stuff with regular machine guns, or the hairspray, and in general with my other potato weapons, I'm gonna figure out how to power this one with electricity. Cool, Izuku exclaimed. Do you know how to charge a battery, Denki? Denki shrugged. I know some, he said. I can light up light bulbs and stuff. Shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, but batteries need a constant stream of electricity, and your quirk has a limit, doesn't it? Before it makes your brain go all silly? Maybe you should practice on a regular battery, or a phone battery first. Maybe, Denki admitted. May, who had already started tinkling with her weapon again, shoved a battery, a wire, and a light bulb at him. I thought you might want this, she exclaimed, trying to connect two bits of metal. She then pulled the mirage bits of metal down, grabbing the battery, and connected the two ends of the wire before hooking it up to the light bulb. Okay, the battery's dead. Charge it. I'm not sure if that's how it works. That's absolutely how it works, May said, turning back to her invention. Practice. Denki frowned, picking up the battery. Izuku saw a small burst of electricity dance along the boy's fingertips, Denki's hair sparking up in a way that was not unlike Albert Einstein after a particularly bad day, and the light bulb slowly started glowing before exploding. Denki and Izuku shrieked, jumping back, and May took off her jacket and laid it over the broken light bulb, stomping on it. Aunt Nemuri, Anki Sho, and Anki Sashi ran over. What happened? Anki Sashi demanded. He crouched next to Izuku, grabbing him by the shoulder and looking him over. We heard a big bang. Are you hurt? Izuku shook his head, adrenaline still pumping through his veins, staring at the shreds of light bulb on the ground. Denki was staring at the battery, looking horrified and close to tears. I didn't mean it, he cried, voice a bit thick. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry. Are you all right, kiddo? Auntie Nemuri asked, taking the boy's hand and turning them side to side, glancing them over. There was a long, deep cut on Denki's palm, but other than that, he seemed relatively fine. I'm fine, Denki said, sniffling slightly as he wiped the blood cut off his jeans. Izuku saw Anki Sashi wince. It don't hurt. Where are your parents? Anki Sashi asked, looking around the park. Are they here with you? Denki sniffled. No, he said. May and me came here after school. May lives real close, so she's allowed. Well, where do you live? Anki Sashi asked. Denki frowned a moment before pointing in a general direction, offering no more explanations. Well, maybe we should walk you home, Anki Sashi said absent-mindedly. With that cut on your hand, it would probably be best if we could explain what happened. No! Denki shouted, eyes wide. I'll get in trouble. Then they'll take away my books. Please don't. You are bleeding, child, Anki Sho said. And it's deep, and from glass. We're taking you home. Denki frowned, looking down, and worrying the bottom lip between his teeth. Throughout this entire interaction, Izuku and May had been staring to the side, still in shock after the minor explosion. Though May's shock was very clearly wavering off, they looked side to side at whomever was talking, looking, as Auntie Nemuri would say later, not unlike they were watching a ping-pong game. Please don't, Denki said again. They'll get really mad. I was dumb. It was my fault. I shouldn't have done it. I'm sorry. Please don't tell Mama and Dad. Auntie Nemuri looked at Anki Sho and Anki Sashi and raised an eyebrow. There's a first aid kit in the trunk, Anki Sho finally said, and Anki Sashi ran off to get it. Auntie Nemuri grabbed Denki's uninjured hand and guided him over to a bench. May and Izuku followed at their heels. Anki Sashi arrived a moment afterwards with the first aid kit and took out tiny, thin bandages and used them to keep the two edges of Denki's cut together. Anki Sashi murmured something to Anki Sho and Auntie Nemuri in the voice he used when he didn't think Izuku was old enough to hear what they were saying, which aggravated Izuku to no end, and they both nodded. Okay, Auntie Nemuri said. Kid, she said, turning to May. You live close enough to walk home on your own, right? May nodded viciously. Go home. But we have to take him back to his house anyways, Auntie Nemuri said. Just head on home, okay? May grumbled a bit, but reluctantly nodded, walking in the direction of her house. They loaded up into the car, and Denki seemed to have given up on complaining at that point, the pain in his hand finally settling in. When Denki started crying, Izuku grabbed the boy's uninjured hand and held it tight. Denki's grip in return made his fingers ache. Denki had a small house a mile or so away from the school. It was a one-story house with a tan paint job, a tiled roof, and a dingy gray car in the driveway. Sitting on the porch was a little girl with black hair done up in pigtails. Strand of orangey yellow hair mixed in with it as well. She looked to be about 3, 2 years younger than Denki and Izuku, and she was drawing pictures on the porch with green chalk. Everyone climbed out of the car, Denki sniffling as he did so. Injured hand held close to his chest, and one hand still maintaining its death grip on Izuku's. "Hey, girlie," Auntie Nemuri said, smiling at the little girl. The little girl stared back at her impassively. "Are your parents home?" She didn't say anything. "Okay, then." Auntie Nemuri sidestepped the little girl, knocking on the front door, and Denki looked like he might start crying again as he waited for it to open. A boy with blonde, tiptoe black hair opened the door. He was way older than Denki and Izuku. Purple bags under his eyes that could probably beat Ungisho's, and a pair of thick flame glasses on his face. He was wearing a hoodie with an American expression on it, and black jeans. "Haru!" Denki cried, letting go of Izuku's hand and rushing forward to hug Haru's leg. "What did he do this time?" Haru asked, sounding rather resigned, running a hand through Denki's shaggy hair. "Are you his brother?" Haru said. "I'm his brother. Is Denki in trouble?" He had a little weird, linted accent, just like Denki, except Haru's was worse. "No, but we think he might need stitches," Hizashi said. Haru frowned, grabbing his little brother's hand and peeling back one of the bandages. Denki whimpered, and Izuku saw a drop of blood drip from underneath the bandage. "Yes, he does," Haru noted. "Dad's gonna kill you." "Please don't tell him," Denki pleaded, tearing up all the more. "He'll yell at me and take all my books away like he always does, and please don't tell Dad." "You have to go to the hospital, Dinks," Haru reminded him gently. "He kind of has to know." Denki sniffled harder, chin falling against his chest, looking down at the ground dejectedly. Izuku wanted to give him a hug. "Well, you can relay the message to your parents, right?" Hizashi asked. Haru nodded. "Oh, yeah, don't worry about it," the boy said. "I've got it covered." Haru thanked them, and they all left, Izuku feeling a bit anxious as they drove away from Denki's house. The following Monday at school, when Izuku walked in, Denki had his hand wrapped in thick bandage. There was bags under his eyes, and his legs was tapping restlessly under the desk. His eyes were red-rimmed, and his face was a bit blotchy. And unlike almost every other morning, Denki was not reading a book. Okay, I think the following couple the next chapter, or the next 2 chapters, we're gonna get into the conversation about parenting. Because clearly we see that Denki obviously cut himself, and his punishment was getting his books taken away, right? He's a child, he's 5. Of course he's gonna get hurt. Like, dude, like when my siblings get hurt and they fall and they hit their head, they do not get punished, right? For the most part, their punishment is the fact that they got wounded, right? That is your punishment. You now have to live with the fact that you have a cut in your hand till it heals. Or you now have to live with the fact that you have a bruise right there because you hit yourself because you were not paying fucking attention, right? Unless it's something super fucking big, like, what's it called? Turning on the stove and putting your hand in the fire. I don't think that would happen, but like, for the most part, when it's like accidents and injuries like that, the punishment in at least my household that I've seen, and that I would also give my children, if I had children, which I'm not, or not bare children, I'm not gonna have children, but for the most part, if I do end up finding someone who would marry me and, you know, they're not opposed to children and they want children, because for the most part, I'm indifferent of the whole children or no children kind of thing. But if I were to have children, their punishment for being reckless and injuring themselves would be the injury that they have, right? I would not... Why am I speaking like that? Fuck! I'm sorry. I'm watching Bridgerton, okay? And I have all day since I've started been talking weird. And no, I'm talking weird right now. Go back to my English. Guns. Nuclear weapons. Okay, there you go. I'm back. I'm back, guys. I'm sorry. But as I was saying, like, I'm indifferent to the whole thing. So, if I were to have children, if I were to adopt children, and they were clumsy and, I don't know, dropped glass and cut themselves, or that one's not another one, because I would make them, you know, clean it up. And, you know, obviously the punishment is the fact that they had to clean it up and that they have a wound. But if it's like something like they were running around and I kept telling them to stop running because they're gonna trip, and there was a lot of things scattered and they're gonna trip, right? They trip, hit their head, and after making sure that they were okay, I would then tell them, like, see, this is why I told you to stop running. Do we now see the consequences of your actions? Right? Do you now understand why I was telling you to stop running? I told you were gonna trip, and that's what happened. You tripped. You now have a boo-boo, right? And I hope, or I wouldn't say boo-boo if it was, actually no, if it was a teenager and I had adopted a teenager, I definitely would fucking say boo-boo. Like, I would be like, see, now you have a boo-boo. Oh my god, I feel bad for the kids I adopt if I adopt kids. As I said, I am indifferent to the situation of whether I want a kid or not. It is depending of my, of my husband, wife, or spouse, depending if they're non-binary, woman or a man. And let's be honest, with my track record, it's most likely going to either be a non-binary person or a man. I have not dated women, like, at all. Oh my god, I've never dated a woman. I've never dated a woman. It's just because it's straight? No, it's not. No, I have dated a woman. It was one day, but I dated her, okay? It did not matter that she dumped me after 24 hours, okay? I've not heard about that. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I've actually been so traumatized about that I just haven't dated any woman ever since. That would be funny, but no. I don't know. None have catched my fancy. No, I'm stopping. This is what I get for fucking watching Bridgerton. Thank you, Aunt, for making me watch Bridgerton. I'm saying making me. I'm enjoying. It's interesting. It's nice. I finished season 1 and I'm going on to season 2. And let's just say I called who Lady Winforddown, Lady Chismosa, okay? Because she's a little gossip, okay? But as I was saying, I've been watching Bridgerton, so I've catched myself using a little bit too sophisticated words and having a slight accent to my voice. It is annoying, okay? It is quite annoying. But as I was saying, for the most part, with my track record, it is most likely that my partner of life is to be either non-binary or a man. I don't know. Maybe a woman will surprise me. I don't know. Who knows? And I'll enter a straight marriage. Ugh, straight marriage. I'm joking. I'm not straight phobic. I don't even think that's a thing, but I love the straights. I'm an ally. I'm gonna stop now. But yeah, the upcoming episodes are going to definitely be talking about what's it called? Parenting. So, chapter 4 is Only You. Summary is, with Izuku's school closed for a day due to staff development meeting, Shouta and Hizashi have no other choice but to take the child with them to work. Their only defense, hours later, it has seemed like a good idea at the time. Oh, I remember this chapter. Ooh, I'm excited. I like that chapter. Okay. Oh, it's quite a lengthy one. Is it lengthy? I'm checking. Is it lengthy? I know what this chapter is going to be. Is it lengthy, or is it just that there's a lot of spacing? It's a little hard to tell with Somewhere Better, specifically with I_am_Ellie, because Ellie seems to really like having a lot of spaces between their words, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just that's how they space out their things. Oh, it's going to be about a 42-minute chapter. Yeah, 42-minute chapter. Interesting. Okay. I'll probably split that up in 2. Yeah. I've been trying to split it up in 2. I could do a 40-minute chapter. But for the most part, I've been splitting up in 2. You guys noticed that, haven't you? That I split up chapters into 2s and stuff. But I'll probably split that up into 2. Yeah. Each being 20 minutes. No, hold up. It wouldn't be 20 minutes long. I'm going insane. I'm going insane. That's actually gonna be, that's not 5 minutes long. I'm actually going insane. That'd probably be 30 minutes. I don't know. I'll see how long I'll do that one. I'll probably split it up because I'm gonna record that one tomorrow, meaning I'm gonna get back from work and I'm most likely not gonna have the patience to sit down and read for long because for the most part, I get back from work, I shower, I sit down, I record, I then have a little bit of leisure time to myself, and then I fall asleep. But I don't know, tomorrow, I think we're gonna get off of work early, so we'll see. Anyways, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.